Now for our first speech, I'd like to call upon Rick Barron, role reversal. Role reversal, Rick Barron.
Thank you, Shankar. I can handle the gray hair, even the growth of my forehead and the hairs growing out of my ears. But there's one thing about the aging process that's mentally difficult to accept. At some point in time, the traditional role of parent and child reverses, and we begin parenting our parents. Who can relate? We start life thinking that we'll live forever. Then we hope our parents will. But somewhere along the way, we're challenged with a reversal of the traditional roles of parent and child. Parents serve three basic roles. The first is the role of caregiver. We're born completely dependent on the care of our parents, physically unable to survive without them. Depending on your family of origin, that may last anywhere from 5 to 25 or more years. There was a period in his life when every time I saw my father, he was in a hospital bed or in the ICU. I didn't physically provide his care, but I was responsible for overseeing it during my shift. I would sit in a dark room with my laptop while he slept, playing sergeant at arms for the doctors and nurses that came through the door, reacting to every sound he made or movement that he did in the bed. I spent so much time in those bedside chairs that I thought they were designed by the nurses to be the most uncomfortable chairs on the planet, so you would never spend the night in them. The second role that parents serve is that of entertainer. When my granddaughter was young, she was fond of saying, "Pop, I'm bored." For those of you that don't speak English, that means, "Pop, entertain me." In April 2011, my father called me in South Carolina while I was driving from Florida back to Cincinnati. After the normal pleasantries, he asked me to drive from South Carolina all the way to Palm Springs, California to pick him up. I'm bored. Then to drive all the way back across country with him, exploring the sights. Entertain me. In June, we drove 2,254 miles together. Over 2 weeks, exploring portions of California and Nevada on the trip of a lifetime. We toured Alcatraz. We explored a gold mine. We visited a ghost town. We experienced Yosemite and Sequoia National Parks. And we relaxed in Las Vegas. I was given an opportunity to rediscover my first best friend. The third role that parents fill is that of mentor. Parents shape and guide our development and decisions for decades. They're our first trusted advisors and the smartest people we know at age 4 or 5. Then they catch some age-related disease, and by the time we're 12 or 13, they are literally the dumbest people on the planet. Their intelligence begins increasing as we get into our 20s, but somehow we surpass them once again as they turn to us for life advice. Financial, relationship, spiritual. We covered them all on our trip. The man that provided and cared for a family of 5 somehow was unable to make decisions that seemed so obvious to me. I accepted the opportunity to mentor my dad through some stormy waters, exploring a new and different phase of our relationship. One I discovered was characterized by mutual trust, admiration, and love. I returned to California in 2011 to help my dad settle into his own place. On the first full day of my visit, he fell in the parking lot of a hospital and was admitted. The depth and breadth of our relationship grew as he prepared himself for the most difficult decision of his life: undergo open heart surgery for a second time to have a chance to regain his life and his health, or continue living in a broken down shell. I encouraged him to demand more from life and accept the challenge. After 7.5 hours of surgery, 1 new and 2 repaired heart valves, I sat at his bedside holding his hand in the ICU. The next day he was out of bed, sitting in the chair that I traditionally sat in. The day after that, he was walking laps in the ICU, talking to the nurses about all the plans that he had for his life. The next morning, the nursing staff was making plans to move him to a room, and I stepped out to get something in the parking lot. When I returned, he was dead. That fast. It was over. I learned to enjoy our new relationship, but discovered our roles hadn't reversed at all. Dad was continuing in his role as parent, allowing me to practice a skill that I hadn't learned: compassion. From my perspective, our relationship moved into new territory, blurring the traditional role between father and son. I see now that he was coaching me through the most difficult lesson of my life: how to let go. Thank you, Dad. Class dismissed.